Moscow, Russian Moskva, city, capital of Russia, located in the far western part of the country. Since it was first mentioned in the chronicles of 1147, Moscow has played a vital role in Russian history. It became the capital of Muscovy, the Grand Principality of Moscow, in the late 13th century. Hence, the people of Moscow are known as Muscovites. Today, Moscow is not only the political center of Russia, but also the country's most populous city and its industrial, cultural, scientific, and educational capital. For more than 600 years, Moscow also has been the spiritual center of the Russian Orthodox Church. The capital of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, U.S.S.R, until the Union dissolved in 1991, Moscow attracted world attention as a center of communist power. Indeed, the name of the seat of the former Soviet government and the successor Russian government, the Kremlin, Russian, Kreml, was a synonym for Soviet authority. The dissolution of the U.S.S.R. brought tremendous economic and political change, along with a significant concentration of Russia's wealth, into Moscow. Area 414 square miles, 1,035 square kilometers. Pop, 2010, city, 11,738,547, 2020 EST, city, 12,678,079. If St. Petersburg is Russia's window on Europe, Moscow is Russia's heart. It is an upbeat, vibrant, and sometimes wearisome city. Much of Moscow was reconstructed after it was occupied by the French under Napoleon I in 1812 and almost entirely destroyed by fire. Moscow has not stopped being refurbished and modernized and continues to experience rapid social change. Russia's Soviet past collides with its capitalist present everywhere in the country, but nowhere is this contrast more visible than in Moscow. Vladimir Ilyich Lenin's mausoleum remains intact, as do many dreary five-story apartment buildings from the era of Nikita Khrushchev's rule, the mid-1950s to the mid-1960s, yet glitzy automobiles and Western-style supermarkets, casinos, and nightclubs are equally visible. Many Orthodox churches, as well as some synagogues and mosques, have been restored. Moscow's novel theaters have reclaimed leadership in the dramatic arts, and traditional markets have been revived and expanded. These markets, which under the Soviets were known as kolkhoz, collective farm markets and sold mainly crafts and produce, are now more sophisticated retail establishments. It has become habitual to compare Moscow with St. Petersburg, its rival and the former, 1712 to 1918, capital of Russia. While St. Petersburg has absorbed Western European influences, Moscow is viewed as a traditional Russian city. Unlike its rival, Moscow has a well-defined city center marked by the Kremlin. Other characteristics of Moscow are its physical layout in radial spokes and rings that have been extended over time, its hodgepodge of architectural styles, and its historical buildings that were mainly built by Russian architects. Moscow's buildings were predominantly wooden until the 1920s, when brick and stone came into use. Moscow is located in western Russia, about 400 miles, 640 kilometers southeast of St. Petersburg and 300 miles, 480 kilometers east of the border with Belarus. It stands on the Moskau River, a tributary of the Oka and thus of the Volga, in the center of the vast plain of European Russia. The city and its surrounding area, the Moscow Oblast province, lie in the northwest corner of the most highly developed and densely populated part of Russia. Moscow is situated in the broad, extremely shallow valley of the Moscow River and its tributaries. A map of Moscow presents a pattern of concentric rings that circle the rough triangle of the Kremlin and its rectangular extension, the Kitay-Gorod, with outwardly radiating spokes connecting the rings. The whole pattern is modified by the twisting, northwest-southeast trending Moscow River. These rings and radials mark the historical stages of the city's growth. Successive epochs of development are traced by the Boulevard Ring and the Garden Ring, both following the line of former fortifications, the Moscow Little Ring Railway, built in part along the line of the former Kamerkalovsky Customs Barrier, and the Moscow Ring Road. The inhabitants of Moscow are overwhelmingly of Russian ethnicity. The largest minority groups are Ukrainians, Belarusians, Armenians, Azerbaijanis, and Tatars. In addition, it is estimated that there were about a few 100,000 undocumented immigrants from Vietnam, Afghanistan, and China residing in the Moscow area at the beginning of the 21st century.